Hello everyone, Mike Rempel from Excel Bytes with today's Excel blog post. Today our blog post is going to be a little bit different than ones in the past. I was recently presented with a challenge on conditional formatting, and when I started the process I kind of went down the wrong roads, and it made me think about how you need to think when using conditional formatting and creating rules to implement conditional formatting. So that's what I want to focus this blog post on today. So let's take a look and see how we're going to do that in Excel. So here I have two different sets of data, Mark 1 and Mark 2, with an X point for each of them. And I had two challenges here. Challenge number one was if Mark 1 and Mark 2 matched on the same row, for example, AAA on row 2 matched AAA in Mark 2 on row 2, then if the numbers under the X column were different, highlight those in red. So you can see we have a situation on row 4 where CCC matches in column A and column D, but the numbers in B and E do not match. So those need to be highlighted in red. In a situation where on row 7, FFF doesn't match HHH, we don't have to worry about the fact if the numbers in B and E do or don't match. So if column A and D match, check to see if columns B and E don't. So that's challenge number one. The second challenge is just look for differences in the Mark 1 column and the Mark 2 column and highlight those in yellow. If it's in Mark 1 but not in Mark 2, highlight those. Or if it's in Mark 2 but not in Mark 1, highlight those. So those are two challenges. And so I sat down and thought about those for a little bit and said, how am I going to approach these? Well, my mind initially went to how I would structure a formula if I was, say, adding a column to give me an answer. If this is this, then that is that, etc. And the perfect result seemed to be if statements or embedded if statements. If A equals D, then if B doesn't equal E, then do something. And that just kind of made sense. With the second issue, all I wanted to do was to look up something in column A to see if it was in column D, or something in D to see if it was in A, so it seemed logical to use lookup functions to do that, either a VLOOKUP or an index match or some combination thereof. And the bottom line was I was wrong on both counts. So I'm going to go over to the second tab that says after, and let's see what I did. For the first challenge, which was if the items in column A match the items in column D, but then the items in B and E do not match, highlight them in red. So you can see I have that situation here in row 4. C's match, but 555 does not match 222. And here H's match, but the 8's do not match the 4's. So what I did there was use the AND function. So if I select conditional formatting, go to Manage Rules, select this worksheet, and look at the first one we have down there, I'll go to Edit Rule. You can see I said equals and A2 equals D2, and the second criteria is does B2 not equal E2? And notice how I have the absolute or mixed cell references structured. I locked the columns but did not lock the rows, so it will scan through all the rows and compare them. And then the formatting was just a bold red format. And you can see that's exactly what occurred there. The second situation, my thought was to go to, again, a VLOOKUP or an index match type scenario, but really COUNTIF is what did the trick. So again, if I go to Conditional Formatting, Manage Rules, select this worksheet, I have two of them here. Let's look at the edit rules here. COUNTIF, I'll look up in D2 to D11, which is the Mark 2 group, and my criteria is A2. Does that equal 0? If so, then it's true there's something in one column that does not show up in another, so highlight that in yellow. And I had to do those differently for the two columns. One was if D2 to D11 with my criteria of A2, and then in the other column, if A2 to A11 with a criteria of D2, if those equal 0, then highlight those in yellow. And you can see we have 3 instances of that. So really the key here is how you need to think about setting up formulas in conditional formatting. And instead of thinking about how you would structure a formula to give a result, you really need to consider how to structure a formula to give you a true or false answer. And that's really the key when you're structuring a formula in conditional formatting. And there you have it. I hope you like what you see. If you do like what you see here, please take a minute to share this post on your favorite social network. I can be found on Facebook, Google+, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So I hope you enjoy this. If you'd like to see more, please feel free to stop by my website, excel-bytes.com, and I hope you subscribe. So have a great day and happy excelling.